And now it's time for the real news with your host, Farron.
Hello and welcome to the Real News. For anyone new to our broadcast, we are your weekly call-in show where we discuss current events and politics. We discuss our disappearing civil liberties, the blatant corruption of our federal government, and our rapid dissension into socialism and tyranny, and also where you, the listeners, can call in and voice your opinions. Thank God the First Amendment is alive and well here on WSIC and WDSL. I want to begin by reminding everyone that when our elected officials take office, they swear an oath to honor and defend our constitutional rights. They are under penalty of the law if they disobey this oath, this contract that they have promised. We have sat back and let these elite totally become complete traitors and openly become criminals without any charges made by anyone. Our First Amendment is under serious attack. Our Second Amendment has been rewrote. Our Fourth Amendment nears extinction. We seem to forget this is a crime for anyone to be involved in. But since our press is but a joke, and most people seem not to care or are too ignorant to understand, these villains to real freedom go unopposed. Let me give you something else to think about as we begin our first broadcast in 2009. As we have been reporting, and so has the AP and CNN and several mainstream medias, the government is admitting that they are bringing home troops to be deployed here in the U.S. in case of civil unrest due to the economic meltdown. They admit this, although it is against the law according to Posse Comitatus Act. My point exactly, total disregard for the law set up to protect us. But let me go a step further. Why are they preparing to use troops on Americans in America? During the Great Depression, this was not necessary. Why is it now? Why is the government showing signs of concern so early? Let me tell you why. Because the government has just openly and blatantly robbed the American people. The Treasury, without the consent of Congress, without any oversight or accountability, has taken over $8 trillion of our money that we're on the hook for and stolen it. We have been looted. The middle class has been sold out beyond belief, and they are preparing for when and if the American people ever wake up from their mass hypnosis, from their deep sleep, and realize the traitorous actions that has taken place. We have been played as the patsy of all patsies. I ask everyone to make 2009 your New Year resolution to get involved, locally, nationally, for us to all stand up as activists and demand sound, honest government. Sound money, not this unbacked fiat paper money, that we quit playing their game of division, dividing us as Republicans and Democrats. Both parties have sold us out. 1% of the population has 99% of the wealth, and they have two parties, the Democrats and the Republicans. The rest of us, the peasants, we don't have a party. Let us not be divided by race or class or religion. This is their biggest fear, that we, the people, will unite. Stop playing the game and demand a true, honest government, and all criminals be brought to justice for our children and our grandchildren's future. Let us take our country back. This sellout of the middle class in the last month should show everyone that what we report here, sadly, is the truth. Let 2009 be truly a year of change. The year the people took back their rights and rose up and demanded real freedom, not just the word freedom bound in chains as it has become. Join WeAreChangeNorthCarolina.com or the Constitution Party or the Campaign for Liberty and many others and become an activist. We will be in the streets this and every month till we change things or they stop us. It is time for everyone to say, as Patrick Henry did, give me liberty or give me death. We do not accept this fake economy fueled by debt. We do not accept our factories closing and all jobs moving to Mexico and China. We do not accept this massive welfare state. We do not accept our ridiculous open borders. We do not accept all of this enslaving taxation. We do not accept these socialistic bailouts. And we demand to live free without an overbearing, money-grubbing, oppressive, bureaucratic nightmare of a government attempting to become a police state. So today, we purposely didn't schedule a guest so you, the listeners, can call in and speak your mind to begin 2009. Last year, I thought many of the best comments came from the listeners. This broadcast is proof that there are people out there locally who care and see what is going on. So shortly after the news, we will take your calls. So Brian, let's turn to you for any comments you might have to lead us into our first broadcast into the new year.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to this year. There's always a level of optimism going into the year. A new administration also, of course. My optimism with the new administration was, destroyed upon his cabinet appointees, Timothy Geithner and of course Hillary Clinton.
Unchange.
Absolutely
De-change.
no change whatsoever. It's the same old story. Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission. I'd like to take this moment to read an article. This is from the Associated Press. This isn't, something that came out of the sky here. This is the Associated Press actually reporting on this, and this is something I've reported on previously many months ago here on the Real News about the selling of our private or our public infrastructure into private institutions. Cash-strapped states weigh selling roads and parks. And again, this is the Associated Press. St. Paul, Minnesota. Minnesota is deep in the hole financially, but the state still owns a premier golf resort, a spawning amateur sports complex, a big airport, major zoo, and land holdings the size of the Central American country of Belize. Valuables like these are in for a closer look as 44 states cope with deficits. Like families pawning the silver to get through a tight spot, states such as Minnesota, New York, Massachusetts, and Illinois are thinking of selling or leasing toll roads, parks, lotteries, and other assets to raise desperately needed cash. Minnesota Governor Tim Pulteney has hinted this January budget proposal, which will include proposals to privatize some of what other states owns or does. The Republican is looking for cash to help close a $5.27 billion deficit without raising taxes. GOP lawmakers are pushing to privatize the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport and the state lottery. Both steps require a higher authority, federal legislation in the case of the airport, a voter-approved constitutional amendment for the lottery, but one lawmaker estimated an airport deal could bring at least $2.5 billion and the lottery $500 million. Massachusetts lawmakers are considering putting the Massachusetts Turnpike in private hands. That could bring in upfront money to help them with a $1.4 billion deficit while saving on highway operating costs. In New York, Democratic Governor David Paterson appointed a commission to look at leasing state assets, including the Tappan Zee Bridge north of New York City, the lottery, golf courses, toll roads, parks, and beaches. Recommendations are expected next month. Such projects could be attractive to private investors in public pension funds looking for safe places to put their money in this scary economy, said Leonard Gilroy, a privatization expert with the market-oriented Reason Foundation in Los Angeles. Infrastructure is more attractive today than ever, Gilroy said. It's tangible, it's a road, it's water, it's an airport, it's something that is, you hear the term recession-proof. Unions don't like privatization deals out of fears that worker wages and benefits get squeezed as private operators try to boost their profits by streamlining services. Taxpayers too can lose out if the arrangements don't work, and sometimes even if they do, said Mark Price, a labor economist with the Keystone Research Center in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Higher tolls on privatized roads can push drivers onto state-operated roads, wearing them down faster and raising public costs over time. You're privatizing some profits in this process and socializing some losses, Price said. Selling or leasing public assets can produce an immediate infusion of cash for the state while fostering the tough decisions such as raising tolls into private operators instead of the politicians. The downsides are often after they leave office, said Felanius Baxtel, a researcher with the consumer-oriented U.S. Public Interest Research Group in Boston. Some states struck major privatization deals well before the economic crisis hit. Indiana, for example, brought in $3.8 billion in 2006 by leasing the Indiana Toll Road for 75 years. Chicago stands to collect $2.5 billion by leasing the Midway Airport if federal government approves, and has raised an additional $3.5 billion since 2005 through deals for the Chicago Skyway Toll Road, parking ramps, and parking meters. But in September, investors walked away from the $12.8 billion bid to lease the Pennsylvania Turnpike for 75 years after legislators